Welcome, my friend, to a space where we will gently peel back the layers of human interaction. Imagine, for a moment, that our minds are like vast, sprawling gardens. Some parts are sun-drenched and vibrant, while others hold quiet, shaded corners. In this garden, we plant seeds of hope, tend to our dreams, and build our inner sanctuaries. But sometimes, a shadow falls over a part of our garden, the shadow of manipulation. It's a word that can feel sharp and cold, conjuring images of deceit and control. But what if we could reframe it? What if, instead of a weapon, we saw it as a map not for wielding power over others, but for navigating the intricate landscape of our own psychology and that of the world around us. This is not a journey to learn how to manipulate, but rather how to understand the quiet currents of influence that flow through every conversation, every relationship, and every interaction. Manipulation isn't just about grand, evil schemes. It often begins with a whisper, a subtle shift, or a seemingly harmless request that, over time, can erode our sense of self and our inner peace. This journey is about illuminating those subtle shifts. We'll be revealing 25 hidden truths that act as keys to unlock a deeper understanding of human behavior. Each truth is a beacon, a small light to guide you through the fog of confusion and doubt. It's about empowering you, not with cunning, but with wisdom. We'll explore how to recognize when a boundary is being tested, when a kindness is not truly kind, and when a story is being told to serve a hidden agenda. This is a journey toward profound personal insight, a quest to fortify your own emotional and psychological garden so that it can withstand any storm. Over the next parts, we will look at how manipulators create a sense of void, how they weave subtle threads of obligation, and how they use mirrors and shadows to build a false reality. We will explore the silent songs they sing to draw you in, and the unspoken debts they create to hold you close. By the end of our time together, you will have a new lens through which to view the world, a lens of clarity and self-awareness. You will learn to trust your intuition, to protect your peace, and to nurture your own inner strength. This is an invitation to a deeper understanding, a gentle awakening that promises to transform how you relate to yourself and others, ensuring your heart and mind are protected wherever you go. Deep within the natural world, a fascinating truth unfolds in the quiet of the desert. A plant, when faced with drought, doesn't simply wither and die. It learns to live with a constant, subtle sense of lack. Its roots burrow deeper, its leaves shrink to conserve precious moisture, and its very being becomes defined by the absence of what it needs. Yet, paradoxically, this state of longing makes it incredibly susceptible to a sudden downpour. When the rains finally come, the plant drinks so voraciously that its cells can burst, unable to handle the sudden, overwhelming abundance. Its survival mechanism, born of scarcity, becomes its vulnerability in a moment of plenty. This is a profound lesson in how a state of lack, even when necessary, can create a deep-seated vulnerability that is easily exploited by an overwhelming influx of an external force. This natural truth finds a profound and often painful echo within the human heart. So many of us walk through life feeling an unspoken sense of lack, a scarcity of love, a drought of validation, a hunger for appreciation. Perhaps it was a childhood where praise was rare, a past relationship where affection was withdrawn, or a constant struggle to feel seen and heard. These experiences don't just fade, they burrow deep into our psyche, creating a silent, internal echo of an empty well. This is not a flaw. It is a human experience. We become emotional desserts, our souls longing for the smallest drop of recognition or kindness. And it is this very longing, this silent ache, that becomes the perfect entry point for a manipulator. They don't need to be overwhelmingly charming or deeply profound. They just need to offer a single, cool drop of water to a soul dying of thirst. A manipulator, much like a clever gardener, understands this emotional landscape instinctively. They sense the emptiness within you, that quiet craving for a compliment, a moment of attention, or a feeling of being valued. They don't try to fill the entire well at once. Instead, they offer a small, precise bit of what you've been lacking. It might be a perfectly timed word of praise that hits a spot you didn't even know was sore. A sudden show of interest in a hobby no one else cares about, or a simple gesture of validation when you've been feeling invisible. This isn't genuine connection, it's a calculated offering. It's the rain that promises relief, but is, in fact, an overwhelming torrent designed to make you dependent. The momentary relief you feel is so intoxicating that you become blind to the true nature of their intent. You're so grateful for the sudden abundance that you overlook the fact that the water is tainted, that it is being offered with a hook. The transformative power of this insight lies in recognizing the thirsty parts of your own heart. By understanding this secret, you begin to see that your sense of lack is not a weakness to be hidden, but a signal to be honored and nourished by your own hand. You learn to recognize when a sudden downpour of flattery or attention is not a sign of genuine care, but a red flag, a sign that your inner well is being exploited. The path to protection is not to become a fortress, but to become your own source of water. It's about self-validation, self-care, and learning to fill your own cup before anyone else has the chance to offer you a single drop. When you tend to your own garden, when you honor your needs and fill them yourself, you become resilient. You are no longer a parched desert, but a lush landscape with its own internal springs. You become immune to the sudden torrents of external validation because your own well is already full. You will find that you no longer need anyone else's rain to feel whole, and you will be free to share your abundance rather than desperately seeking it. In the great tapestry of nature, a fascinating phenomenon can be observed in the humble ivy. A single, delicate tendril, almost imperceptibly thin, reaches out and attaches itself to a wall. It doesn't try to conquer the entire surface at once. Its goal is far more patient. The first connection is so small, so seemingly insignificant that you barely notice it. But then, it sends out another, and another. Each thread is a tiny commitment, a small grip on the surface. Individually, they are of no consequence. Yet, over time, these countless, nearly invisible threads weave together, creating a powerful, unyielding bond. What began as a single, delicate touch becomes an entire wall covered in an intricate, impossible-to-remove network. The ivy's strength isn't in one monumental effort, but in a series of small, relentless, and seemingly innocent commitments. It's a masterclass in the power of starting small and building to something unbreakable. This natural principle finds a direct and powerful parallel in the world of psychological manipulation, where it is known as the foot in the door technique. A manipulator, much like the ivy, doesn't begin with a grand, audacious request that would trigger immediate alarm bells. They start with a request so small, so seemingly reasonable, that it feels almost rude to say no. It might be as simple as asking for a small favor, a bit of your time, or a tiny piece of information. The request is so minimal that your natural instinct is to be helpful and compliant. You give them a few minutes, you answer their simple question, or you agree to a small task. In doing so, you've made a tiny, almost unnoticeable commitment. You've allowed their tendril to take hold. You've said yes to the first thread of the web. But the manipulator's goal was never that first small request. It was merely the door opener, the initial breach of your emotional and psychological defenses. After your first yes, they will follow up with a slightly larger request, one that builds upon the first, because you already agreed to the first request. Saying no to the second one feels inconsistent with your own behavior. You might think to yourself, well, I already helped them with that one thing, so what's the harm in helping a little more? This is where the power of this technique lies. It preys on our innate human need to be consistent and to see ourselves as helpful, kind, or compliant. The threads of obligation and commitment begin to multiply, each one strengthening the hold. Before you realize it, you're agreeing to do things you would have never considered in the beginning, simply because you've been led there one small, incremental step at a time. The web has been woven. The transformative power of this secret is found in learning to recognize the first small tendril. By understanding this pattern, you can learn to pause and ask yourself, where is this small request truly leading? You begin to see that saying no to the small, initial request is not rude. It is an act of self-preservation. This wisdom teaches you to honor your own boundaries from the very beginning, to protect the integrity of your personal space and your time. It's about being mindful that every yes, no matter how small, sets a precedent. The goal isn't to become unhelpful or unkind, but to be intentional with your commitments, to ensure they are born from genuine desire and not from a subtle trap of obligation. When you learn to spot and untangle the first thread of the weaver's web, you regain control over your choices and your life. You become the master of your own commitments, choosing freely what you say yes to, and protecting your peace from the slow, steady encroachment of subtle manipulation. In the wild, there's a creature renowned for its ability to adapt and survive, the chameleon. This small lizard doesn't just change color. It becomes an active reflection of its environment. It mirrors the green of a leaf, the brown of a branch, and the vivid splash of a blooming flower. It does this not out of a desire for connection, but as a deep-seated survival mechanism. By seamlessly blending in, the chameleon can either hide from predators or sneak up on unsuspecting prey. Its mimicry is a powerful tool, a silent language of deception that creates an illusion of belonging while serving a purely self-serving purpose. It becomes what its surroundings expect it to be, not out of authenticity, but out of a calculated need to control the outcome of an interaction. This natural phenomenon offers a profound window into a powerful manipulation secret. This natural truth finds a chilling echo in a manipulative technique known as mirroring. A manipulator, much like the chameleon, becomes a reflection of you. They don't just mimic your body language, leaning in when you lean in, crossing their legs when you cross yours. They mirror your very soul. They quickly identify your core beliefs, your passions, your hopes, and your fears. and then they feed them back to you as if they are their own. When you talk about your deep love for a specific genre of music, they suddenly discover a newfound appreciation for it. When you express a passionate political view, they'll reveal that they've felt the exact same way for years. They become a walking, talking echo of your own self, creating a powerful and deeply false sense of connection. This isn't genuine rapport. It's a carefully constructed facade designed to disarm your skepticism and accelerate the building of trust. The danger lies in how deeply we crave to be understood. When someone mirrors our deepest thoughts and feelings, it feels like we've found a soulmate, a kindred spirit who just gets it. Our natural defense mechanisms, which are designed to be wary of strangers, are bypassed because this person doesn't feel like a stranger at all. They feel like an extension of ourselves. They are, in a sense, wearing our emotional clothing. This instant, powerful connection feels so good, so right, that we lower our guard completely. We start to share more, to trust more deeply, and to invest more emotionally, all while completely unaware that we are bonding with a carefully crafted reflection rather than a genuine person. The chameleon has successfully blended into our world, not to share it, but to consume it. The transformative power of this secret is found in learning to distinguish between genuine connection and calculated mimicry. By understanding this secret, you learn to look past the superficial similarities and listen for the true music of a person's character. Does their interest feel deep and authentic? Or does it feel like a sudden, convenient coincidence? Do they have their own unique passions and beliefs? Or are they a constant reflection of yours? True connection is not about sameness. It is about celebrating the beautiful, messy differences that make each of us unique. It's about two distinct individuals sharing a space, not one becoming a shadow of the other. By learning to look for the genuine article, you empower yourself to build relationships based on real authenticity, not on the fragile illusion of a mirror. You protect your heart by seeking out those who celebrate your light, not those who merely reflect it back to you. In the deep, quiet corners of a forest, an ancient tree may carry a scar from a long-ago storm, a broken branch, a gash in its bark, a place where it bent but didn't break. While the tree has grown around the wound, the scar remains a part of its story, a place of historical weakness. It's not a flaw, but a testament to its resilience. However, a parasitic vine, with its own self-serving agenda, is an expert at finding these very spots. It doesn't cling to the strong, healthy parts of the tree. Instead, it seeks out the old wound, the softer bark, the place where the tree is still vulnerable. It uses this point of weakness as its anchor, and from there, it begins its slow, steady climb, drawing nutrients and support from the very place the tree is most sensitive. This quiet, natural truth holds a profound and painful mirror to a manipulation tactic that preys on our deepest emotional vulnerabilities. This natural truth finds a powerful and deeply personal echo in a manipulation secret that relies on exploiting our unseen emotional wounds. We all carry these scars from past heartbreaks, unresolved rejections, or deeply held insecurities about our worth, intelligence, or appearance. These are the quiet, tender spots within our hearts that we often try to hide, even from ourselves. A manipulator, much like the parasitic vine, is not interested in the strong, healthy parts of your emotional landscape. They are masterful at sensing these hidden vulnerabilities. They might pick up on a fleeting comment about a past failure, notice a moment of self-doubt, or listen for the way you talk about a difficult relationship. They don't need a detailed map. They just need to find the softest part of your emotional bark, the place where you are most susceptible. Once a manipulator has identified your unseen wound, they begin to anchor themselves there. They won't attack it directly. That would be too obvious. Instead, they will use a form of targeted kindness or attention that seems to perfectly address that very vulnerability. If your deepest fear is being abandoned, they will make extravagant promises to always be there for you, creating a false sense of security and dependency. If you secretly doubt your intelligence, they will shower you with praise about how brilliant and insightful you are, making you feel seen in a way you've always craved. This isn't genuine validation. It's a strategic offering, a soothing balm that makes you feel grateful and beholden to them. The more they seem to get and heal your wound, the more you become emotionally entwined with them, mistaking their targeted attention for true care. The transformative power of this secret lies in becoming a compassionate keeper of your own wounds. By understanding this, you learn to see your vulnerabilities not as flaws to be exploited, but as parts of your story that deserve gentle care and healing from within. You begin to recognize that true, authentic love and support aren't seek to anchor themselves to your pain. They seek to celebrate your strength and help you grow beyond your scars. You become your own source of healing, nurturing those tender spots with self-compassion and kindness. When you have done the work of acknowledging and tending to your own vulnerabilities, a manipulator's targeted kindness no longer holds power over you. Their offerings feel hollow because you have already given yourself the healing you need. You can then seek out relationships that honor your whole self scars and all, rather than those that simply use your past pain as a means to gain control. Consider the peculiar phenomenon of a desert mirage. The shimmering illusion of water on the horizon is not a malicious trick of the land, but a natural optical effect caused by light bending through layers of superheated air. To a parched traveler, this is a painful deception. They see what they desperately hope is real, a clear, unmistakable image of a life-giving oasis. They walk toward it with renewed hope, only to find that with every step they take, the mirage recedes, shifts, or vanishes entirely, replaced by the same endless, unforgiving sand. The deception lies not in a lie being told, but in the reality of the landscape being bent and distorted to create a false image of what is and what isn't. The traveler begins to doubt their own senses, their own perception of what they saw, and even their sanity. This natural phenomenon is a perfect metaphor for one of the most insidious forms of manipulation. This natural truth finds a profound and damaging echo in the manipulation tactic known as gaslighting. A manipulator, much like the desert air, distorts and bends your reality not with a grand lie, but with a series of small, persistent misrepresentations. They might tell you that an event you distinctly remember never happened, or that you are misremembering a conversation you just had. They might casually dismiss your feelings by saying things like, "You're being too sensitive," or "That's not what I said at all." The goal isn't just to win an argument, it's to plant a seed of doubt in your mind about your own perceptions, memories, and emotions. They are creating a mental mirage, and you, the unsuspecting traveler, begin to question if your own mind is a reliable compass. You start to think, maybe I did get it wrong. Maybe I'm too sensitive. Or Maybe my memory is failing me. The danger of this tactic lies in its slow, cumulative effect. Over time, these small acts of distortion erode your sense of self and your trust in your own judgment. You become an unreliable narrator of your own life story. The manipulator doesn't have to control you with overt threats. They simply have to make you believe that you are incapable of perceiving reality accurately without their help. You start looking to them to confirm what is real and what isn't. You begin to seek their approval, to validate your feelings and memories. This makes you incredibly vulnerable, as you have given them the power to define your world. The landscape of your mind becomes a shifting, uncertain place, and you become dependent on the very person who is creating the confusion, desperately hoping they will guide you to a solid oasis. The transformative power of this secret is found in learning to trust your own inner compass. By understanding this secret, you learn to honor your own reality, even when someone else is trying to tell you it's wrong. You begin to hold on to your memories, your feelings, and your perceptions as valid, non-negotiable truths. This wisdom teaches you that you have the right to feel what you feel, and you have the right to trust what you remember. It empowers you to build a firm foundation of self-trust, so solid that no one can create a mirage that makes you doubt your own existence. When you learn to protect your reality, you stop seeking external validation for your own experience. You become the final authority on your own truth, and no amount of gaslighting can shake the solid ground beneath your feet. Consider the deep-sea anglerfish, a creature that thrives in the darkest, most unforgiving parts of the ocean. In a world with no sunlight, it has evolved a mesmerizing strategy for survival. From its head dangles a bioluminescent lure, a small, glowing orb that pulses with an inviting, gentle light. To a passing fish, this orb is a promise of warmth, a sign of something wonderful in the otherwise vast and cold nothingness. The fish is drawn in, not by a lie, but by the irresistible hope of a reward that feels so close. The lure isn't a weapon. It's a promise, a beacon of what could be, and it draws its victim ever closer into the very jaws of the predator. This is a profound and chilling example of how a distant, vague promise of future reward can be used to control the actions of another in the present moment. This natural truth finds a powerful and damaging echo in a manipulation secret that relies on the siren's distant song. A manipulator often doesn't control you with a direct threat. Instead, they control you with a vague yet tantalizing promise of a future reward. They dangle a glowing lure of what could be, a shimmering vision of a future that seems just within your grasp. It might be the promise of a big promotion one day, a blissful and perfect future together, once things settle down, or the assurance that they will change their behavior when they are ready. These promises are almost always nonspecific, lacking any concrete timeline or actionable steps. They are a beautiful, glowing mirage that keeps you hoping, waiting, and most importantly, compliant. The danger of this tactic lies in the way it hijacks your hope. Hope is one of our most powerful motivators, and a manipulator knows this. They understand that if they can keep you focused on a future payoff, you will tolerate pain, neglect, or poor behavior in the present. You tell yourself, it's worth it, because a wonderful future is just around the corner. You invest more of your time, energy, and emotions, believing that each contribution is a step closer to the promised reward. You forgive broken promises and accept poor treatment because the glowing lure of what could be is so much more compelling than the painful reality of what is. This makes you a captive audience, constantly swimming toward a light that is perpetually just out of reach, all while giving away your present power. The transformative power of this secret lies in learning to live in the reality of the present moment. By understanding this secret, you learn to shift your focus from the siren song of future promises to the reality of current actions. You begin to ask yourself, what is happening right now? And is the way I am being treated today acceptable, regardless of what has been promised for tomorrow? This wisdom teaches you that genuine love, respect, and opportunity are not perpetually delayed. They exist in the present. You empower yourself by setting a boundary that says, I will not trade my present peace for a future that is not guaranteed. By learning to value your current reality and your current well-being, you become immune to the siren's distant song, and you can swim away from the shadows toward a light that is real, tangible, and available to you right now in the intricate, symbiotic relationships of the natural world. There is a fascinating and delicate balance of giving and taking. Consider the relationship between certain species of birds and the trees they nest in. The tree provides shelter, a safe place to raise a family, a true gift of security. In return, the birds often consume pests that would otherwise harm the tree, providing a natural form of protection. This exchange is open, mutual, and born of a genuine, unspoken contract. Now, imagine a different scenario. A bird builds a nest in a tree, but rather than offering anything in return, it begins to drop a series of shiny, unsolicited trinkets at the base of the tree. The tree never asked for these gifts, never needed them. Yet, the presence of these gifts creates an unspoken pressure. A debt has been created, not through a mutual exchange, but through a one-sided act of giving. The tree, in a sense, feels an unspoken obligation, a weight of a debt it never asked to take on. This natural truth finds a profound and often uncomfortable echo in a manipulation secret that relies on creating the weight of the unspoken debt. A manipulator, much like the bird dropping trinkets, will often give you things you never asked for or needed. It might be an unsolicited favor, a surprise gift, a grand gesture, or even an overwhelming amount of help with a problem you were perfectly capable of solving yourself. The giving isn't born of a generous heart. It's a strategic maneuver. It is designed to trigger a deeply ingrained social principle known as the rule of reciprocity. The feeling that when someone does something for you, you are obligated to do something in return. By giving you something first, they are placing you in a position of unspoken debt. The danger of this tactic lies in the way it bypasses our logical mind and goes straight for our emotional programming. We feel a deep, internal pressure to repay their kindness. We think, they did so much for me. I have to do this for them. The problem is, the repayment is rarely equal to the original gift. They may have helped you with a minor task, but now they expect you to drop everything to help them with a major life problem. You are trapped in a one-sided exchange, where your sense of obligation forces you to give more than you ever intended, simply because you feel you owe them. The gifts were not a show of affection. They were the first payment in a debt they fully intended to collect. You become a captive of their generosity, unable to say no without feeling a pang of guilt or ungratefulness. The transformative power of this secret is found in learning to graciously decline unsolicited gifts and favors. By understanding this, you learn to honor your own sense of balance and fairness. You begin to recognize that a genuine gift comes with no strings attached, and that true acts of kindness are not meant to create a debt. You empower yourself to say, "Thank you, but I can handle this myself." Or, "That's very kind of you, but I don't need that." This wisdom teaches you to distinguish between an authentic gesture of love and a calculated act of control. You can receive a genuine gift with an open heart, but you can also protect your peace by refusing to accept a debt you never asked to take on. You become the master of your own exchanges, ensuring that every interaction is a mutual, open-hearted connection, not a ledger of unspoken debts. In the fascinating, delicate world of a spider, a web is not just a sticky trap. It is a masterpiece of engineering. The spider doesn't chase its prey. It builds a structure with a central hub and multiple radiating lines, creating a series of pathways. The prey, a small fly, doesn't see a single dangerous trap. It sees an open space, a path to fly through. It chooses a direction and begins to move, unaware that no matter which pathway it chooses, it is moving closer to the center of the web. Every choice it makes, every turn it takes, is a choice that the spider has already accounted for. The spider has not limited the fly's movement. It has simply designed a system where all choices lead to the same predetermined end. The illusion is one of freedom, but the reality is a carefully designed lack of real options. This natural truth offers a powerful insight into a subtle manipulation secret. This natural truth finds a profound and often unseen echo in a manipulation tactic that relies on creating the illusion of the open door. A manipulator will often present you with a series of choices, making you feel as though you have autonomy and control. The options might sound something like this. Would you rather help me with this project on Tuesday or Wednesday? Or, do you want to go to the company party with me? Or do you want to stay home and make me dinner? On the surface, these questions feel collaborative and respectful of your freedom. They seem to be asking for your input and giving you a say in the matter. However, the reality is that the manipulator has already made the core decision for you. They have decided you will help them with the project, or they have decided you will be with them on the night of the party. The illusion of choice is simply a tool to get you to agree to their core demand without resistance. The danger of this tactic lies in its subtlety, because you are the one making the choice. You feel responsible for the outcome. You're not being forced, you're being consulted. This makes it incredibly difficult to protest or to feel resentful. You might think, well, I chose Tuesday, so I can't be mad that I have to do this. You become the architect of your own entrapment. The manipulator has successfully bypassed your natural resistance to being told what to do by making you feel like a partner in the decision-making process. They have created a psychological web where all paths lead back to their desired outcome, and they have cleverly positioned you to be the one to choose which path you'll take. The transformative power of this secret is found in learning to recognize the trap before you choose a path. By understanding this secret, you learn to look past the presented options and ask a more fundamental question: am I truly free to choose not to do this at all? You learn to identify when the premise of the question has already been decided for you. This wisdom teaches you that true freedom isn't about choosing between a set of predetermined options. It's about having the power to create your own path. You empower yourself by learning to reject the premise of the question and to offer your own alternative. or to simply say, no, that doesn't work for me at all. By refusing to enter the web of their choices, you protect your autonomy and ensure that your decisions are truly your own, not a predetermined journey to an outcome someone else designed for you. In the quiet, deliberate dance of a silkworm, a fascinating and singular truth about reality unfolds. The silkworm doesn't simply weave a cocoon. It crafts its entire world, thread by thread. It builds the walls of its home, the ceiling, the very air it will breathe, from its own being. Within this self-created enclosure, its reality is complete, self-contained, and absolute. It lives within the story it has woven, a story of protection and transformation. No external force can enter without its consent, and no reality can exist within that space other than the one it has painstakingly created. This is a profound metaphor for the subtle yet powerful way we each construct our own narrative, and how a manipulator can seize control of that process, not by force, but by becoming the sculptor of our reality. This natural truth finds a powerful and often painful echo in a manipulation secret that relies on becoming the sculptor of our reality. A manipulator doesn't just lie. They construct a coherent, self-serving narrative around their actions and your reactions. They are masters of storytelling, and they always cast themselves in the role of the hero, the victim, or the misunderstood soul, while casting you in the role of the villain, the aggressor, or the unreasonable one. They don't just say, "You are wrong." They tell a story that makes it logically and emotionally impossible for you to be right. For example, if they have wronged you, they don't apologize. Instead, they will create a narrative that frames their behavior as a direct and understandable response to your flaws. "I wouldn't have had to do that if you hadn't been so cold," they might say. Or, "You made me feel so insecure that I had no choice but to react that way." The danger of this tactic lies in its ability to bypass your critical thinking and go straight for your empathy. As human beings, we are hardwired to understand the world through stories. A well-crafted narrative feels true, even when it is not. By presenting their actions as a justified reaction to your behavior, the manipulator forces you to look inward and ask, "Was I really being cold? Was I the cause of this?" This shifts the focus from their accountability to your self-doubt. You are now arguing against a well-constructed story, a reality where they are the innocent party, rather than a simple, clear-cut fact. Your energy is spent defending yourself against a fictional version of events, while they are free to continue their behavior with a clear conscience. You are living in a world they have woven, and they hold all the threads. The transformative power of this secret is found in learning to become the sole and sovereign narrator of your own story. By understanding this, you learn to trust your own perception of events, regardless of the narrative being presented to you. You begin to recognize that a person's behavior is their responsibility, and your reaction to it is your own. This wisdom teaches you to separate your actions from their justifications. It empowers you to say, "I am not responsible for your behavior," and to hold firm to your own truth. You no longer have to live within a cocoon of someone else's making. By reclaiming your power as the narrator of your own life, you break free from their story and begin to weave a new one, a story of clarity, self-respect, and unwavering truth, a reality that is entirely your own. In the quiet, deliberate world of a wolf pack, there is a profound truth about community and survival. A lone wolf is not a powerful, independent creature. It is a vulnerable one. Its strength and security come from the collective, from the shared vision, the mutual protection, and the communal hunt. The pack provides a social structure, a sense of belonging, and a network of support that ensures each member can thrive. But a wolf, separated from its pack, becomes easy prey. Its sense of identity and safety is eroded, and it is left to face the vast, unforgiving wilderness alone. This natural truth offers a powerful and deeply personal insight into a manipulation secret that relies on isolating us from our own support systems. This natural truth finds a profound and damaging echo in a manipulation tactic that relies on creating the lure of the lone wolf. A manipulator, much like a predator in the wild, understands that your greatest strength lies in your connections to others. They are not threatened by you as an individual. They are threatened by your pack, your friends, your family, your trusted mentors. Their goal is to separate you from these people. They will do this subtly at first, with seemingly innocent comments. Your friend is a bad influence. They always seem to bring you down. Or, your family just doesn't understand our relationship. They will create a narrative that frames your loved ones as being against you, or against the relationship, or simply not good enough for you. They may even create scenarios where you have to choose between them and your loved ones, making it a test of loyalty. The danger of this tactic lies in the way it hijacks our need for belonging. As human beings, we are social creatures. When a manipulator convinces you that your friends and family are a threat, they become the new center of your world. They position themselves as your only true ally, your only source of understanding and support. You begin to depend on them more and more, because you have been made to feel that you have no one else to turn to. Your world shrinks, and your perspective narrows. You no longer have trusted voices to offer a different point of view, to ask the difficult questions, or to see the red flags you may be missing. The manipulator is no longer just a partner or a friend. They are your entire universe. You have become a lone wolf, and in your isolation, you are incredibly vulnerable to their control. The transformative power of this secret is found in learning to fiercely protect your pack. By understanding this, you learn to see your relationships with friends and family not as a weakness, but as a vital lifeline. You begin to recognize that genuine love and respect will never require you to choose between your loved ones and them. This wisdom teaches you that anyone who actively works to isolate you is not your ally. It empowers you to honor your connections and to trust the people who have been there for you long before the manipulator arrived. By nurturing and strengthening your bonds with your support system, you make yourself impenetrable to this kind of manipulation. You remain a part of a strong, healthy pack, and you can face any challenge with the collective strength of those who genuinely care for you, ensuring you are never truly alone. In the powerful, yet delicate, world of nature, a hunting cheetah offers a profound lesson in the art of urgency. The cheetah, a master of speed, doesn't simply run fast. It creates a sudden, overwhelming sense of urgency for its prey. It doesn't give its target time to think, to assess the situation, or to form a strategic escape plan. The sheer velocity and immediacy of the attack bypass the prey's logical mind, triggering a primal panicked flight instinct. The prey is no longer acting with a clear head. It is reacting in a state of high stress, impulsive terror. In this high-stakes moment, A split-second decision made under pressure is often the wrong one. The cheetah's power isn't just in its speed, but in its ability to force a hasty, uninformed choice from its target. This natural truth offers a powerful insight into a subtle manipulation secret. This natural truth finds a profound and often unseen echo in a manipulation secret that relies on creating the architect of urgency. A manipulator understands that when you have time to think, to consult with others, and to weigh your options, you are far less likely to fall for their schemes. Therefore, their goal is to remove that time. They will often introduce a sudden, arbitrary deadline or a false sense of scarcity. They might say, "I need an answer right now, or the opportunity will be gone forever." Or, "If you don't commit to this immediately, I'll have to find someone else." They might create a crisis that requires your immediate attention. A problem that seems to demand a solution right this very second. The feeling of pressure is palpable, and it is a deliberate and strategic part of their plan. The danger of this tactic lies in its ability to hijack your rational mind. When you are under the gun, your brain's prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for logical thinking and long-term planning, takes a back seat to the more reactive parts of your brain. You move from a state of thoughtful consideration to a state of impulsive reaction. The manipulator knows that a panicked decision is almost always a bad one, and a decision made without proper consultation is one that leaves you with no support system to turn to. You're so focused on the fear of missing out or the anxiety of the immediate crisis that you don't see the glaring flaws in their proposal or the red flags in their behavior. You are making a decision based on their timetable, not your own. And the outcome is rarely in your best interest. The transformative power of this secret is found in learning to refuse to be rushed. By understanding this secret, you learn to see an arbitrary deadline not as a reality, but as a potential red flag. You begin to recognize that a genuine opportunity, a real connection, or an honest person will respect your need for time and thought. This wisdom teaches you to pause, to take a deep breath, and to assert your right to think things through. It empowers you to say, "I need some time to consider this," and to hold firm to that boundary. By refusing to operate on someone else's manufactured timeline, you take back your power. You give your rational mind a chance to catch up, to assess the situation, and to make a decision that is truly in your best interest. You are no longer the panicked prey. You are the patient, thoughtful master of your own choices. In the deep, ancient lore of the mountains, there is a myth about a powerful, solitary eagle that nests on the highest peak. The myth tells of how this eagle, in a time of great storm, will fly down and pluck a vulnerable baby bird from a lower nest, carrying it to the safety of its own eyrie. It doesn't do this out of pure kindness. It does it to position itself as the sole provider of protection and security. The baby bird, isolated and saved from the immediate danger, comes to see the eagle as its only lifeline, its only connection to the world. It looks to the eagle for all its needs, for all its food, for all its safety. It has no other choice. In this powerful, though mythical story, we see a profound truth about how one can gain control not through a show of force, but through a calculated display of salvation. This natural truth finds a powerful and often painful echo in a manipulation secret that relies on the mask of the savior. A manipulator will often position themselves as your sole protector, your only guide through a dangerous and complicated world. They are masterful at creating a narrative where they are the hero, and you are the damsel or the distressed. They will save you from a minor problem they may have secretly created, or they will offer solutions to challenges that you were perfectly capable of handling yourself. They might say, "If it wasn't for me, you wouldn't have gotten through that." Or, "The world is a cold place, and I'm the only one who truly has your back." This isn't genuine support, it's a strategic move to create a sense of dependency. The danger of this tactic lies in the way it hijacks our natural desire to feel safe and secure. When someone repeatedly steps in to save us, we begin to believe their story. We start to see them as indispensable, as the one person we cannot live without. We start to believe that without them, we would be lost, helpless, or in danger. This belief makes us incredibly vulnerable. We stop trusting our own ability to navigate challenges, to solve our own problems, or to stand on our own 2 feet. The manipulator, by wearing the mask of the savior, has successfully disempowered us. We become like the baby bird in the eagle's nest, grateful for our safety, but completely dependent on our captor for every single need, unable to see the beautiful, expansive sky that is rightfully ours to fly in. The transformative power of this secret is found in learning to trust your own innate strength. By understanding this, you learn to recognize that true support doesn't seek to make you dependent. It seeks to empower you. A genuine friend or partner will help you find your own wings, not clip them and carry you. This wisdom teaches you to honor your own ability to solve problems, to face challenges, and to build your own safety. It empowers you to say, "Thank you, but I can handle this," and to reclaim your own sense of agency and self-reliance. By refusing to accept the role of the helpless one, you break free from the manipulator's narrative. You reclaim your power, and you learn to fly on your own, knowing that you are strong enough to navigate any storm, with or without a savior, in the powerful, yet delicate, world of the ocean. A fascinating and singular truth about memory and expectation unfolds in the life of the sea snail. When the tide goes out, a sea snail often leaves a long, shimmering trail of mucus behind it. This trail isn't just a mark of where it's been. It's a promise, an implicit guarantee that the water will return, that the ocean will once again fill its world. But what happens when the tide doesn't come back as expected? When the sun bakes the land, and the trail of the promise dries up and fades away, the snail, accustomed to the cycle, still follows the invisible path of what should be, even as its reality changes. Its memory of the promise, the fading ink of the trail, keeps it moving forward, even when the promised outcome is no longer a possibility. This natural truth offers a powerful insight into a subtle manipulation secret that relies on broken promises. This natural truth finds a profound and often painful echo in a manipulation secret that relies on the fading ink of the promise. A manipulator, much like the ocean's tide, will repeatedly make promises they have no intention of keeping. These aren't grand, life-changing promises at first. They are often small, seemingly insignificant commitments. "I'll call you tomorrow." "I'll help you with that project next week." Or, "I'll be there for your event." When these promises are broken, they are often followed by a flurry of excuses and a new, more earnest promise for the next time. They might say, "I'm so sorry, something came up, but I promise I'll be there next time." Or, I know I said I'd call, but I got swamped. I promise to make it up to you. The original promise is a trail of ink that is fading. But the new promise, the fresh ink, keeps you hooked. The danger of this tactic lies in its ability to train you to lower your expectations. After a while, you stop being shocked or hurt by the broken promises and start to accept them as a normal part of the relationship. You unconsciously begin to believe that the promises themselves are more important than the follow-through. You might find yourself saying, "Well, they tried," or "At least they said they were going to do it." You are, in essence, following the dried-up trail of a faded promise, clinging to the memory of their words rather than the reality of their actions. This creates an emotional cycle where you are constantly being let down, but your hope is repeatedly renewed with each new, empty promise, keeping you perpetually in a state of emotional suspense. The manipulator has successfully trained you to accept less and less while still feeling grateful for their minimal effort. The transformative power of this secret is found in learning to honor your own worth by prioritizing actions over words. By understanding this, you learn to see that a promise without follow-through is not a promise at all. It's a conversation filler. You begin to recognize that genuine love, respect, and commitment are demonstrated through consistent, reliable actions, not through a beautiful series of unkept promises. This wisdom teaches you to stop following the fading ink and to pay attention to the hard, dry ground beneath your feet. It empowers you to set a boundary that says, "Your actions are the only thing I will consider." By releasing your emotional investment in empty words, you break free from the cycle of disappointment and start building relationships based on the solid ground of integrity and reliability. In the deep, ancient wisdom of the natural world, there is a fascinating truth to be found in the life of a bee. The bee is a creature designed to seek out nectar, a sugary reward that provides energy and life. But a bee isn't just attracted to the nectar itself. It is drawn in by the powerful, intoxicating scent of the flower's pollen. The flower, in its own way, uses this sweet perfume as a form of powerful, nonverbal flattery. It broadcasts a message that says, "I am the most beautiful, the most worthy, the most desirable." The bee, intoxicated by the scent, is drawn in, its judgment clouded by the overwhelming sweetness. It ceases to analyze the quality of the nectar or the health of the plant. It simply responds to the powerful lure of the perfume. This is a profound and beautiful metaphor for a manipulation secret that preys on our deep-seated need for appreciation and validation. This natural truth finds a powerful and often damaging echo in a manipulation secret that relies on the echo chamber of flattery. A manipulator, much like the flower, will use excessive, often nonspecific flattery to bypass your critical thinking and win your trust. They won't just say, "You did a good job." They will say, "You are the most brilliant, talented person I have ever met. I've never seen anyone do that with such effortless grace." The flattery is often exaggerated, a perfume that is too strong to be true. They will shower you with compliments about your appearance, your intelligence, your kindness, or your unique perspective. They are, in a sense, whispering a story to you about how wonderful you are. A story you secretly want to believe. This isn't genuine appreciation. It's a strategic tool designed to make you emotionally dependent on their positive feedback. The danger of this tactic lies in its ability to intoxicate our ego. Flattery feels good. It soothes our insecurities and makes us feel seen and valued. When a manipulator offers us an overwhelming amount of it, it's like a hit of a powerful drug. We become addicted to the feeling of being praised, and we begin to seek their approval more and more. We stop questioning their motives because we are so focused on the feeling they give us. We become blind to their flaws, to their poor behavior, and to the red flags that would be obvious to anyone else. We are, in a sense, caught in an echo chamber, where all we hear is how wonderful we are, and the manipulator is the only one holding the microphone. We will do almost anything to keep that beautiful sound playing. The transformative power of this secret is found in learning to seek your own quiet validation. By understanding this, you learn to distinguish between genuine, heartfelt praise and hollow, strategic flattery. True compliments are specific, earned, and often delivered in a quiet, sincere tone. Flattery is loud, vague, and often feels unearned. This wisdom teaches you that your self-worth is not a variable that depends on someone else's opinion. It is a constant, an internal sun that shines on its own. You empower yourself by learning to appreciate your own strengths and to find your sense of value from within. When your inner well of self-worth is full, a manipulator's perfume of flattery becomes just that, a scent. It can be appreciated for its beauty, but it no longer has the power to intoxicate or control you. You are free to move toward those who see your light, not those who merely use it. In the deep, ancient wisdom of the forest, there is a fascinating and singular truth to be found in the life of a certain parasitic vine. This vine, with no roots of its own, doesn't attack its host tree with violence. Instead, it slowly, deliberately, wraps itself around the host, consuming its energy, drawing its resources, and diverting the tree's vital life force to its own growth. It demands constant support, constant sustenance, and constant attention. The tree, in this one-sided relationship, finds itself with less and less energy for its own leaves, its own fruit, its own growth. It is slowly, imperceptibly, becoming a vessel for the parasite. The vine's power isn't in its strength, but in its relentless, unending demand for time and energy. A demand that leaves its host exhausted and unable to resist. This is a profound metaphor for a manipulation secret that preys on our most precious resource, our time. This natural truth finds a profound and often painful echo in a manipulation secret that relies on becoming the thief of our time. A manipulator, much like the parasitic vine, will consume your time and energy with an endless stream of demands, needs, and crises. They might have a constant stream of emergencies that require your immediate attention, or they might engage you in endless, circular conversations that go nowhere but consume hours of your life. They might call you at all hours, send you a flurry of texts, or make plans that constantly change, forcing you to be perpetually on standby. The demands are never for anything substantial. They are for your presence, your emotional labor, your endless attention. The goal is not to get a specific outcome, but to keep you so busy and so exhausted that you have no time or energy left for anything else, especially not for yourself. The danger of this tactic lies in its ability to slowly drain your reserves. When you are constantly being pulled in 1,000 different directions, you are left with no time for self-reflection, for quiet moments, or for the activities that recharge your soul. You are always in a state of reaction, never in a state of peace. This makes you incredibly vulnerable. An exhausted person is an unthinking person. You no longer have the mental or emotional bandwidth to question their motives, to set boundaries, or to see the red flags in their behavior. The manipulator has successfully created a life where they are the center of your universe, not because you chose them to be, but because they have consumed all the available space. You become a vessel for their needs, and in doing so, you lose your own sense of purpose and direction. The transformative power of this secret is found in learning to fiercely guard your time and energy. By understanding this, you learn to see your time not as an endless resource, but as a precious, finite gift. You begin to recognize that a healthy, respectful relationship doesn't demand your constant attention. It honors your need for space and rest. This wisdom teaches you that you have the right to your own time, your own hobbies, and your own peace. It empowers you to set boundaries around your availability, to say, "I am not available right now," and to reclaim your right to rest and recharge. By refusing to be a host for someone else's endless demands, you break free from the parasitic cycle. You become the master of your own schedule, your own energy, and your own life, ensuring that your own garden has the light and space it needs to thrive. In the quiet, deliberate dance of a fisherman, there is a fascinating and singular truth about how trust is built. A fisherman doesn't simply cast a giant, obvious net to catch a prize fish. Instead, they use a small, shiny lure, a piece of plastic designed to look like a small fish. This lure, on its own, is not the key. The key is the quiet, secret movement, the gentle twitch that makes the lure seem alive, as if it is a fellow fish, a companion who knows the secrets of the water. To a passing fish, this lure is not a trap. It is a kindred spirit, a small piece of shared reality. It feels like an unspoken secret, a moment of intimacy in the cold, vast ocean. The fish is drawn in, not by an external promise, but by the illusion of a shared secret, a bond of trust that is built on a lie. This is a profound and chilling metaphor for a manipulation secret that preys on our deep-seated need for intimacy and connection. This natural truth finds a profound and often painful echo in a manipulation secret that relies on creating the illusion of the shared secret. A manipulator, much like the fisherman, understands that true trust is built on intimacy, and intimacy is often built on the sharing of a secret. They will often approach you with a story or a piece of information that they frame as a confidential, private matter. "I shouldn't be telling you this, but I feel like I can trust you," they might say. Or, "This is just between us. I've never told anyone else." The secret itself might be trivial, a piece of gossip, or even a fabricated story about their own vulnerability. The content of the secret doesn't matter. What matters is the act of sharing it with you. This act creates a powerful, emotional bond. You feel special, chosen, and trusted. You feel like you're now a part of their inner circle, a confidant. The danger of this tactic lies in its ability to create a false sense of intimacy. We are wired to believe that people who share their secrets with us are people we can trust. We feel a reciprocal sense of loyalty and a powerful desire to protect them and their secret. This makes us incredibly vulnerable. We will share our own secrets in return, opening ourselves up to them emotionally and psychologically. The manipulator has successfully created a one-sided connection where we are giving our genuine trust and vulnerability in exchange for an illusion. The secret they shared wasn't a sign of trust. It was a psychological key, a tool to unlock our own defenses. They have successfully positioned themselves as an intimate friend, a trusted confidant, when in reality, they are a stranger who has simply used a powerful psychological tool to gain access to our heart. The transformative power of this secret is found in learning to distinguish between genuine intimacy and strategic vulnerability. By understanding this, you learn to see that a shared secret is not the foundation of a healthy relationship. It is a part of the house, not the ground it's built on. Genuine intimacy is built over time, with consistent, reliable actions and shared experiences. This wisdom teaches you to be cautious of those who rush to share secrets and to be mindful of your own need for deep connection. It empowers you to build relationships based on a solid foundation of mutual respect and shared values, not on a fragile illusion of an us against the world secret. By refusing to be baited by the lure of the shared secret, you protect your vulnerability and ensure that your trust is earned, not simply given away. In the deep, ancient wisdom of the natural world, there is a fascinating and singular truth to be found in the delicate balance of the ocean's tide pools. When the tide is high, the tide pool is a vibrant, bustling ecosystem, filled with life and nourishment. Everything is plentiful, and the creatures within are thriving. But when the tide retreats, a period of harsh exposure and scarcity begins. The pool becomes a different world, hotter, smaller, and more stressful. The creatures are left to fend for themselves in a constricted, unforgiving environment. This cycle of sudden abundance followed by jarring scarcity is an unpredictable rhythm, a pendulum that swings from praise to punishment without warning. The inhabitants of the tide pool are never allowed to settle into a state of consistent peace or safety. This is a profound and beautiful metaphor for a manipulation secret that preys on our emotional stability. This natural truth finds a powerful and often painful echo in a manipulation secret that relies on the pendulum of praise and punishment. A manipulator, much like the ocean's tide, will create a deeply confusing and emotionally unstable rhythm in the relationship. One moment, they will be showering you with praise, affection, and attention. You will feel loved, cherished, and valued. You will experience the high tide of their affection, where everything is wonderful and you feel safe. Then, without any clear cause, the tide will suddenly retreat. They will become cold, distant, critical, or emotionally withdrawn. They will punish you with silence, neglect, or subtle criticism. The world, which a moment ago was vibrant and full of life, now feels small, harsh, and lonely. The danger of this tactic lies in its ability to keep you emotionally off balance. The manipulator is not looking for a specific outcome from you. They are looking for a state of perpetual instability. You become so focused on trying to get the high tide of their affection back that you lose your sense of self. You begin to walk on eggshells, constantly trying to anticipate their mood, to please them, and to avoid doing anything that might cause the tide to retreat. You are no longer in a relationship with a person. You are in a relationship with an unpredictable force of nature. This creates a powerful addiction to their approval. The relief you feel when the high tide returns is so intoxicating that you forget the pain of the low tide. You become a creature of their tide pool, living in a constant state of emotional suspense, desperately trying to control a cycle you have no power over. The transformative power of this secret is found in learning to find your own emotional stability, regardless of the tide. By understanding this, you learn to see the pendulum not as a reflection of your worth, but as a manipulative pattern. You begin to recognize that a healthy, loving relationship is not a series of jarring highs and lows. It is a consistent, reliable presence, like the steady ground beneath the tide pool. This wisdom teaches you that you have the right to emotional consistency, and that a person who repeatedly subjects you to emotional whiplash is not a safe person to be with. It empowers you to break free from the cycle, to stop trying to please an unpredictable force, and to seek relationships that offer you the steady, gentle ground you deserve. You will no longer be a prisoner of their emotional weather, because you have learned to be your own stable, internal sun. In the deep, ancient wisdom of the natural world, there is a fascinating and singular truth to be found in the delicate world of the hummingbird and the flowering vine. The hummingbird, with its powerful, rapid wings, is a master of attention. It hovers, a tiny blur of motion, drawing all focus to itself. The flowering vine, on the other hand, is a quiet, subtle masterpiece, and its nourishment is vital for the hummingbird's survival. However, the hummingbird is not a pollinator. It is a consumer. It takes the nectar, but its constant, hovering presence and rapid movements ensure that all attention is on its own display, not on the vine's quiet beauty or the needs of its growth. In this one-sided relationship, the hummingbird becomes the stolen spotlight, a dazzling distraction that diverts all focus from the quiet source of its own life. This is a profound and beautiful metaphor for a manipulation secret that preys on our deep-seated need to be seen and heard. This natural truth finds a profound and often painful echo in a manipulation secret that relies on the stolen spotlight. A manipulator, much like the hummingbird, is a master of directing attention to themselves. No matter what the conversation is about, no matter what you are celebrating or what you are struggling with, they will find a way to shift the focus back to themselves. If you share a story about a recent accomplishment, they will interrupt with a story about a more impressive achievement of their own. If you express a feeling of sadness, they will quickly one-up you with a story of their own, more intense pain, their life, their needs, their emotions, and their stories are always the central subject. This isn't a simple act of rudeness. It's a deliberate and strategic move to ensure that you never get to occupy the emotional space you deserve. The danger of this tactic lies in its ability to slowly erode your sense of self-worth. When your stories are constantly dismissed, your feelings are constantly one-upped, and your needs are constantly ignored, you begin to feel invisible. You start to believe that your experiences aren't important enough to be shared, or that your feelings aren't valid enough to be expressed. You stop trying to talk about yourself, and you become a quiet audience for the manipulator's endless monologue. This makes you incredibly vulnerable, as you have given up your right to be a full participant in the conversation and in the relationship. The manipulator has successfully positioned themselves as the main character, and you have accepted the role of a silent extra. You are so focused on their dazzling display that you forget your own quiet, beautiful light. The transformative power of this secret is found in learning to reclaim your space and your voice. By understanding this, you learn to see the stolen spotlight not as a reflection of your unworthiness, but as a manipulative pattern. You begin to recognize that a healthy, loving relationship is a conversation, a back-and-forth dance where both people get to shine. This wisdom teaches you that you have the right to be heard, to be seen, and to take up space. It empowers you to gently but firmly reclaim the conversation, to say, "I'd like to finish my story," or "I appreciate you sharing that. But can we go back to what I was talking about?" By refusing to be a silent extra, you break free from the hummingbird's dazzling display. You reclaim your role as a main character in your own life and in your own relationships, ensuring that your own light is not stolen, but is instead celebrated. In the deep, ancient wisdom of the natural world, there is a fascinating and singular truth to be found in the delicate, yet powerful, life of the oyster. The oyster, a seemingly vulnerable creature, lives its life in a shell, a safe enclosure. However, it's in its quiet, dark world that its greatest fear resides, the fear of a foreign irritant, a single grain of sand, entering its space and causing perpetual discomfort. A parasite, a predator, knows this. It doesn't use strength to break the shell. It uses a far more subtle and insidious method. It introduces a small, persistent irritant, a tiny bit of grit, into the oyster's world. The oyster, in its panic, doesn't fight the predator. It fights the irritant, expending all its energy, trying to build a pearl around the source of its pain. The oyster is so consumed by its fear that it becomes a prisoner of its own reaction, completely at the mercy of the one who introduced the fear in the first place. This is a profound metaphor for a manipulation secret that preys on our deepest, most private fears. This natural truth finds a powerful and often painful echo in a manipulation secret that relies on becoming the mirror of our fears. A manipulator, much like the parasite, understands that our greatest weaknesses are not in what we lack, but in what we are afraid of. They are masterful at sensing our deepest, most private fears, the fear of being alone, the fear of failure, the fear of not being good enough, or the fear of being judged. They don't have to break down our emotional walls. They just have to introduce a single, subtle grain of sand into our quiet world. They might say, "I'm worried about you. I've noticed people at work seem to be pulling away from you." If your greatest fear is being ostracized, or "I'm concerned you're not going to be able to finish that project on time." If your greatest fear is failure, the comment isn't a direct attack. It's a mirror reflecting your own fear back at you. The danger of this tactic lies in its ability to send you into a panic. When a manipulator mirrors your deepest fear back to you, it feels like a confirmation of your worst nightmares. You don't question their motives. You immediately go into a defensive, reactive state. You become a prisoner of your own anxiety, expending all your energy trying to prove them wrong or to fix a problem that may not even exist. You're so focused on fighting the grain of sand they introduced that you become completely blind to their true intentions. You are, in essence, building a beautiful pearl of anxiety, an effort for a predator who is quietly watching you expend all your energy. You become dependent on them to provide the reassurance you crave, the very reassurance they have strategically removed. The transformative power of this secret is found in learning to confront your own fears, to befriend them, and to hold them close. By understanding this, you learn to see your fears not as weaknesses to be hidden, but as signals to be understood. You begin to recognize that a person who truly cares for you will help you face your fears. not use them as a weapon. This wisdom teaches you to pause and then ask yourself, is this person's concern authentic, or are they simply holding a mirror to my own anxiety? It empowers you to separate a genuine warning from a calculated manipulation. By learning to face your fears with courage and self-compassion, you remove their power. A manipulator can no longer introduce a grain of sand into your world because you have already learned to turn your pain into a pearl of strength on your own. You become an oyster with an unbreakable shell, and your own fears are no longer your weakness, but your most beautiful and protected treasures. In the deep, ancient wisdom of the natural world, a fascinating and singular truth can be found in the life of the cuttlefish. The cuttlefish, when cornered by a predator, is not an aggressive fighter. Instead, it is a master of deflection. It doesn't confront the danger. It releases a dense cloud of ink, a dark, confusing plume that obscures its escape and confuses its attacker. The predator, now blinded and disoriented, is left to thrash around in the murky mess, fighting an empty space while the cuttlefish swims away to safety. The blame, in a sense, is shifted from the predator's failure to the cuttlefish's deception. The predator is left in a state of confusion, completely unable to pinpoint the true cause of its failure. This is a profound metaphor for a manipulation secret that preys on our deep-seated need for fairness and justice. This natural truth finds a profound and often painful echo in a manipulation secret that relies on the conductor of the blame game. A manipulator, much like the cuttlefish, is a master of deflection. When a problem arises, they never accept responsibility. Instead, they release a dense, confusing cloud of blame that obscures the true cause of the issue and places the fault squarely on you or on someone else. They might say, "I had to do that because you made me feel so angry." Or, "This whole thing is a mess because you didn't give me the right information." The blame is never a direct, simple accusation. It is a convoluted story, a confusing narrative that shifts the focus from their actions to your supposed flaws. You are left to grapple with the murky ink they have released, while they quietly slip away from any responsibility. The danger of this tactic lies in its ability to hijack our innate sense of fairness. We are hardwired to seek justice and to find a clear cause for a problem. When a manipulator releases a cloud of blame, we, the victims, often become the ones trying to find the truth, trying to prove our innocence. We get caught in their game, expending all our energy, trying to clean up the mess they created, while they watch from a distance. We might apologize for things we didn't do, or we might go on an endless quest to defend ourselves, only to find that the more we fight, the murkier the water becomes. The manipulator has successfully positioned themselves as the innocent party, and you have accepted the role of the person responsible for the mess. Even if you had nothing to do with it, you are left to fight a ghost in a cloud of ink they created. The transformative power of this secret is found in learning to refuse to play the blame game. By understanding this, you learn to see the cloud of blame not as a reflection of your guilt, but as a deliberate act of deception. You begin to recognize that a person who truly cares for you will accept responsibility for their own actions and will work with you to find a solution, not a scapegoat. This wisdom teaches you to stop trying to prove your innocence in a rigged game. It empowers you to take a deep breath, to refuse to enter the murky water, and to stand firm in your own truth. You can say, "I am not responsible for your actions," and walk away from the cuttlefish's cloud of confusion. By refusing to accept blame that is not yours to carry, you break free from the conductor's game and reclaim your own sense of clarity and justice. In the deep, ancient wisdom of the natural world, a fascinating and singular truth can be found in the life of a pack of wild dogs. When a member of the pack has defied the unspoken rules of the group, they are not met with physical violence. Instead, they are met with a far more profound and chilling form of punishment: the silent storm of the cold shoulder. The pack, as a collective, simply ignores the offending member. They will not hunt with them, play with them, or even look at them. The offender is left to wander on the periphery, desperate for a sign of recognition or a moment of connection. The silence isn't just an absence of sound. It's a profound statement of withdrawal, a powerful message that their very existence has been made irrelevant. The emotional weight of this silent rejection is often far more powerful than any physical confrontation. This is a profound metaphor for a manipulation secret that preys on our deep-seated need for belonging and connection. This natural truth finds a powerful and often painful echo in a manipulation secret that relies on the silent storm of the cold shoulder. A manipulator, much like the pack of wild dogs, is a master of emotional withdrawal. When they are not getting their way, or when they want to punish you for a perceived offense, they don't have to yell, argue, or confront you. They simply become emotionally unavailable. They might stop answering your calls, ignore your texts, or give you the silent treatment when you are in the same room. The silence isn't a sign of peace. It's a weapon. It's a calculated act of emotional punishment designed to make you feel anxious, insecure, and desperate for their attention. The manipulator has successfully positioned themselves as the arbiter of your emotional well-being, and you are left in a state of confusion, desperately trying to figure out what you did wrong. The danger of this tactic lies in its ability to hijack our need for connection. As human beings, we are social creatures. When someone we care about suddenly withdraws their attention, it triggers a primal fear of abandonment and rejection. We are left with a powerful emotional void, and we will do almost anything to fill it. We will apologize for things we didn't do. We will change our behavior to please them, and we will beg for a single word of recognition, all to end the painful silence. The manipulator has successfully created a dynamic where their silence is the most powerful tool they have. They don't have to say a word to control you. They just have to be quiet. You become a captive of their emotional weather, constantly living in fear of the next silent storm, and completely unable to stand in your own peace. The transformative power of this secret is found in learning to find your own emotional validation, regardless of the silence. By understanding this, you learn to see the cold shoulder, not as a reflection of your unworthiness, but as a manipulative pattern. You begin to recognize that a person who truly cares for you will communicate their feelings with words, not with silence. This wisdom teaches you that you have the right to be in a relationship where you are seen and heard, not punished with emotional withdrawal. It empowers you to break free from the storm, to refuse to beg for attention, and to seek relationships that are built on a foundation of open, honest communication. By refusing to be a prisoner of their silence, you reclaim your own voice and your own sense of belonging, ensuring you are never left out in the cold. In the deep, ancient wisdom of the natural world. A fascinating and singular truth can be found in the life of a fledgling bird. A young bird, when it first leaves the safety of the nest, is a creature of immense vulnerability. Its wings are not yet strong, its knowledge of the world is limited, and its fear is immense. Yet, this vulnerability is not a weapon. The mother bird, understanding this, does not exploit it. Instead, she gently coaxes the fledgling toward independence, pushing it to find its own strength, to learn its own flight. But imagine a different scenario. A predatory creature, sensing the fledgling's vulnerability, begins to feign its own helplessness. It lets out a series of weak, desperate cries, a display of feigned victimhood that draws the fledgling in, making it feel that it must provide aid. The fledgling, in its innate desire to help, draws closer, only to fall prey to the predator's trap. This is a profound metaphor for a manipulation secret that preys on our deep-seated need for empathy and compassion. This natural truth finds a profound and often painful echo in a manipulation secret that relies on the illusion of the desperate plea. A manipulator, much like the predator feigning helplessness, is a master of emotional victimhood. When they are not getting their way, or when they need you to do something for them, they don't have to ask directly. They simply present themselves as a victim of circumstance, a helpless soul who is incapable of navigating the world without your aid. They might say, "I'm so lost without you," or "I don't know how I'll ever get through this without your help." They will often paint a picture of their own struggles, their own pain, and their own vulnerability, not to share a genuine feeling, but to trigger your innate sense of empathy and compassion. The emotional plea is not a request. It's a powerful tool designed to make you feel responsible for their well-being. The danger of this tactic lies in its ability to hijack our empathy. We are hardwired to help those we see as being in distress. When a manipulator presents a desperate plea, it's almost impossible for us to turn away without feeling a pang of guilt or a sense of heartlessness. We become the hero in their story, the one person who can save them from their struggles. We dedicate our time, our energy, and our resources to solving their problems, often at the expense of our own. The manipulator has successfully created a dynamic where they are the perpetual victim, and you are the perpetual rescuer. This makes you incredibly vulnerable, as you have tied your own sense of worth and purpose to your ability to save them. You are so focused on their needs that you forget your own, and you become a prisoner of their emotional dependency. The transformative power of this secret is found in learning to distinguish between authentic vulnerability and a plea for manipulation. By understanding this, you learn to see that a person who is truly in pain will seek to empower themselves, not to become a burden on others. You begin to recognize that a healthy, loving relationship is not a dynamic of victim and rescuer. It is a partnership of two whole, capable people. This wisdom teaches you that you have the right to your own life and your own purpose, and you are not responsible for solving someone else's problems. It empowers you to break free from the desperate plea, to offer support without taking on responsibility, and to encourage others to find their own wings. By refusing to accept the role of the rescuer, you break free from the trap and reclaim your own power, ensuring you are free to live your own life, rather than constantly saving someone else's. In the deep, ancient wisdom of the natural world, a fascinating and singular truth can be found in the life of the hermit crab. The hermit crab, a soft and vulnerable creature, must seek out a discarded shell to protect itself. This shell, once the home of another creature, becomes its sanctuary. However, the hermit crab does not simply live in the shell. It must constantly carry the weight of it. As it grows, it must find a new, larger shell. But it never escapes the fundamental reality of its existence. Its safety is dependent on a borrowed burden. It must, in a sense, live its life with the weight of someone else's past, and it can never truly find its own home, only a temporary dwelling. This is a profound metaphor for a manipulation secret that preys on our innate sense of responsibility. This natural truth finds a profound and often painful echo in a manipulation secret that relies on the weight of unmet expectations. A manipulator, much like the hermit crab, will often burden you with the weight of their own unmet emotional needs and responsibilities. They don't have to tell you to carry their burdens. They simply present you with them, with a quiet sigh or a defeated look. They might say, "I'm so lonely since my last relationship ended. I don't know what I'm going to do." Or, "I'm so worried about my career. I feel like I'm a failure." The statements aren't a direct request for you to solve their problems, but they are a heavy emotional weight that is placed squarely on your shoulders. You, in your empathy and compassion, feel an unspoken pressure to fill the void, to carry the burden, and to become the source of their happiness and stability. The danger of this tactic lies in its ability to slowly erode your own sense of self. You become a vessel for their emotional needs, a constant source of reassurance, a borrowed shell for their vulnerability. You find yourself spending all your time and energy trying to make them happy, to solve their problems, and to provide them with the emotional security they are unable to create for themselves. In doing so, you neglect your own needs, your own dreams, and your own life. You are so busy carrying their weight that you forget to live your own life. The manipulator has successfully created a dynamic where their well-being is your responsibility, and your own is a distant second. You are a prisoner of their unmet expectations, constantly trying to fill a shell that can never truly be yours. The transformative power of this secret is found in learning to graciously and lovingly refuse to carry a weight that is not yours. By understanding this, you learn to see the difference between supporting a loved one and being burdened by them. You begin to recognize that a person who truly cares for you will seek to stand on their own 2 feet and will not place the responsibility for their happiness on your shoulders. This wisdom teaches you that you have the right to your own life, your own joy, and your own path. It empowers you to break free from the burden, to offer support without taking on responsibility, and to encourage others to find their own strength. By refusing to be a borrowed shell for someone else's unmet expectations, you reclaim your own life and your own purpose, ensuring you are free to live your own beautiful, unburdened journey in the deep, ancient wisdom of the natural world. A fascinating and singular truth can be found in the life of the beautiful, yet deadly, monarch butterfly. The monarch, as a caterpillar, feeds exclusively on milkweed, a plant that contains a powerful toxin. The caterpillar doesn't fight the toxin, it absorbs it. The toxin doesn't harm the caterpillar, it becomes a part of its very being. When the caterpillar transforms into a butterfly, it carries this poison within its vibrant wings. It is no longer vulnerable. It is a creature that predators know to avoid. The monarch's power isn't in its strength, but in its ability to take a poison and make it a part of its own protected existence. However, there is a species of parasitic wasp that knows this. This wasp doesn't attack the monarch directly. Instead, it lays its eggs on the caterpillar, and the newly hatched larvae, feeding on the caterpillar's flesh, consume the very poison that was meant to protect it. In this profound and tragic irony, the monarch's greatest defense becomes the very thing that sustains its attacker. This is a profound metaphor for a manipulation secret that preys on our desire to be needed and our capacity for compassion. This natural truth finds a profound and often painful echo in a manipulation secret that relies on becoming the architect of codependency. A manipulator, much like the parasitic wasp, understands that your greatest strength, your compassion, and your desire to help can be turned into your greatest vulnerability. They don't have to control you with force. They simply make you feel like you are the only one who can save them. They will create a dynamic where their well-being, their happiness, and their very existence seem to depend on you. They might say, "I don't know who I am without you," or "I can't imagine my life without your help." These aren't compliments. They are powerful emotional anchors designed to make you feel indispensable. You, in your compassion, absorb their poison, their emotional baggage, their unresolved traumas, their endless needs, believing you are protecting them, believing you are doing a good thing. The danger of this tactic lies in its ability to slowly erode your own sense of self-worth. You begin to believe that your worth is tied to your ability to save them. Your identity becomes intertwined with their needs, and their problems become your purpose. You are so focused on keeping them afloat that you don't realize you are drowning yourself. The manipulator has successfully created a dynamic where your own needs are a distant second to theirs, and your very existence becomes a source of sustenance for their emotional parasitism. You are so busy being the monarch's wings, carrying their poison, that you don't realize you are the one being consumed. The very love and compassion that make you beautiful become the very thing that traps you. The transformative power of this secret is found in learning to find your own inherent worth, independent of your ability to save another. By understanding this, you learn to see that a person who truly loves you will seek to build a partnership, not a dependency. You begin to recognize that your purpose in life is not to be a vessel for someone else's emotional poison. It is to fly free and to live your own vibrant life. This wisdom teaches you that you have the right to your own life, your own joy, and your own purpose, and that your love for others should be a source of shared growth, not codependency. It empowers you to break free from the trap, to set a boundary that says, "I can love you without having to save you." By refusing to be a host for someone else's emotional poison, you reclaim your own life and your own purpose, ensuring you are free to live your own beautiful, unburdened journey. And so, we arrive at the end of our gentle journey. We've walked through a landscape of subtle shadows and quiet whispers, not to learn how to wield them, but to learn how to see them. We've discovered that manipulation is not a list of grand, evil schemes, but often a series of small, almost imperceptible shifts, a whisper in the mind, a hand on the shoulder, a sudden downpour of praise when you've been so thirsty for it. We've learned that the true art of protection isn't about building higher walls around our hearts, but about cultivating a deeper awareness within them. We've seen the echo of the empty well and learned to fill our own cup. We've identified the weaver's subtle thread and learned to refuse the first small commitment. We've unmasked the chameleon's mimicry and learned to seek out authentic connection. We've confronted the shadow of the unseen wound and learned to heal our own tender spots. We've recognized the gardener of doubt and learned to trust our own beautiful minds. We've heard the siren's song and learned to live in the power of the present moment. We've felt the weight of unspoken debt and learned to give with a full heart, not out of obligation. We've walked through the illusion of the open door and learned to create our own. We've seen the sculptor of our reality and learned to be the sole narrator of our own lives. We've felt the lure of the lone wolf and learned to fiercely protect our pack. We've been caught by the architect of urgency and learned to pause and breathe. We've been saved by the mask of the Savior and learned to trust our own innate strength. We've followed the fading ink of the promise and learned to value actions over words. We've been intoxicated by the echo chamber of flattery and learned to find our own quiet validation. We've been drained by the thief of our time and learned to guard our energy. We've been fooled by the illusion of the shared secret and learned that true intimacy takes time to build. We've been caught in the pendulum of praise and punishment and learned to find our own emotional stability. We've watched the stolen spotlight and learned to claim our own space. We've seen the mirror of our fears and learned to befriend our own anxieties. We've been confused by the conductor of the blame game and learned to walk away from the murky ink. We've been frozen by the silent storm of the cold shoulder and learned to find our own warmth. We've been manipulated by the illusion of the desperate plea and learned to offer support without taking on responsibility. And finally, we've carried the weight of unmet expectations and learned to refuse to be a borrowed shell. Each of these secrets is not a weapon to be feared, but a key to a deeper understanding of ourselves and our world. They are a map to the human heart, a guide to the quiet vulnerabilities we all carry. This journey was never about becoming impervious, but about becoming aware. It was never about becoming hard, but about becoming whole. It was about recognizing the beauty and strength that lies within you, a strength so profound it can withstand any shadow. You are now equipped with the wisdom to protect your peace, to honor your truth, and to live a life that is truly and authentically your own. As our journey together comes to a close, imagine the sun setting on the horizon of a vast, open ocean. The colors are soft, painted in hues of lavender and gold, and the waves roll in with a gentle, rhythmic hum. This is the feeling of a heart at peace, a heart that is aware, a heart that is protected, and a heart that is full. The secrets we've explored were never meant to make you cynical, but to make you discerning. They were never meant to close your heart, but to make you cherish and protect it more fiercely. This is the end of our formal lesson, but it is the beginning of your new way of seeing the world. Go forth with this new knowledge, not as a shield to keep everyone out, but as a gentle guide to let the right people in. You have the power to create a life where your relationships are built on a foundation of trust, respect, and authenticity. You have the strength to stand in your truth, to honor your boundaries, and to walk away from anything that no longer serves your peace. Let this final moment be a quiet breath, a moment to feel the light within you, a light that no shadow can dim. You are worthy of love that is genuine, support that is empowering, and a life that is truly your own. The melody of your life is beautiful. Ensure that it is only filled with the chords of warmth and truth.